This week, I went onto my social and asked you guys if you had any questions or topics that you wanted me to cover. And there were two that I received that really jumped out where I was like, yes, this is going to be my video for this week. And those two questions were, how do you stay motivated day in and day out? And the second one was just binge versus self-sabotage. Now, before I get into it, I want you guys to remember that I am not a licensed mental health professional. I am a physical health and fitness professional, two very different categories, but mental health and physical health do go hand in hand. And I'm just gonna share my experiences to hopefully help you in some way, but don't take this as any sort of medical advice. So as someone who has had a not so great relationship with food in the past, particularly with binge eating, I want to cover the binge versus self-sabotage first and get into my thoughts there. When we think of binging when it comes to food, most of the time that's eating a very large quantity of food, more than a normal person would, in a small amount of time. So that would be like eating the entire box of Oreo cookies or having 6 donuts instead of 1. Been there many, many times, have had a few binges post-show that I have been open about in my previous videos. And a lot of times binges come up due to some sort of restriction, whether that is calorie restriction for a competition prep or a dieting phase, or when we restrict ourselves from certain foods because they're labeled as good or bad. As someone who has a lot of food intolerances, where I know that there are specific foods when I ingest them, they do not make me feel good. The following day, it feels like I'm hungover. Cognitively, I'm not there. My stress is higher. My anxiety is higher. My mood and desire to do anything, my motivation, which ties into the next question, is not there. So in my head, I will be fully honest that I see gluten and dairy not as bad foods, but as bad foods for me because they're going to make me feel ill the following day. I'm okay having them in like small quantities. I can have a donut or a ice cream once in a while and I don't get major side effects. But when I restrict too long and I don't have them at all, so for example, in a competition prep, I could not afford to have my body inflamed for 3 to 5 days after consuming that food. So it was avoid it at all costs. That form of mental restriction in combination with the calorie restriction that I was undergoing to lose body fat for this goal that I had, coming out of it to this day, I still struggle with the all or nothing mentality. There is a gray there. If you have worked with me in the past, if you are one of my clients, you know that one of the things that I say is it's not something that we truly get over ever, but it's something that we get much better at managing. So we have the restriction when it comes to calories and when it comes to good versus bad foods, but there's also restriction from recovery in terms of high stress in our life and not allowing ourselves to rest or process that stress. And if life starts to feel too much, our nervous system is going to detect that there is a threat. Hi, this is my parents' dog Rascal. You guys will see that I'm in a different environment. This was my childhood bedroom. In the work that I have done with a neuropsychologist, I have learned that essentially we have 3 parts of our brain. We have our prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking brain up here. We have our emotional brain right in the core, and then we have our brain stem. And our brain stem is responsible for the reflexes when we don't feel safe. So if our body is perceiving that we don't feel safe because we are too stressed, because we are restricted from calories, for example, or there's a lot of things that our body can sense as threats, our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for, we know we should only have 1, or we know we shouldn't eat that, or we know we should hit our macros, that goes offline and checks out. So it is now our emotional brain and our brain stem and our reflexes running the show, saying, we don't feel safe. What do we know from the past decades makes us feel a little bit better? Food. And it's not just one bite makes you feel better, because turning to this food doesn't shift your nervous system into a safer state. It just provides a temporary hit, and then you're chasing quantity and you eat more and more and more, and it doesn't shift your nervous system at all. And then you start to reflect thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And that increases your stress levels. So binging is a form of self-sabotage, but it's also your body trying to keep you safe in a way that it has been trained to keep you safe for decades. This is where noticing, how am I feeling right now? What are the sensations going on in my body? What are the thoughts present? And what actions can I take that aren't food can I do to shift my nervous system and make myself feel calm? That might be taking a couple of deep breaths. So putting your hand on your chest and your stomach, doing a double nose inhale, long mouth exhale. I hope that helps with binging. Now, self-sabotage, that is a whole other category that, yes, it can involve food and it can involve binging, but self-sabotage really comes down to your behaviors. Are you following systems? Are you following routines? Lack of planning is self-sabotage. Not getting up at the time you said you were going to get up is self-sabotage. Going to bed too late at night is self-sabotage. When we are looking at a health and fitness lifestyle and making this something that is sustainable, your morning routines, your pre-bed routines, and the systems that you have in place to make sure you're honoring your nutrition, you are pushing hard in your training, you're able to recover so that you can push hard in your training, all of that is part of the process, and progress follows your process. One of the lines that I love that Hattie introduced to me was, we do not rise to the level of our effort, we fall to the level of our system. So if you do not have systems in place, that in itself is a form of self-sabotage. Now, just like I mentioned with binging, if we turn to food because our body is not sensing that we are safe, that is a form of self-sabotage. Sometimes I'll find when I'm working with women, and I've even done this myself, is when we're seeing positive progress, when we're checking in with our coach, we're taking the photos, we're getting leaner, that body fat is coming off, we then go into self-sabotage and we're like, I don't understand where this is coming from. I've been so good. I'm seeing progress. Why am I pulling myself backwards? This goes back to the nervous system not feeling safe. Whenever there is something new in our life, if we have never experienced it before, our brain, when all of the sensory stuff comes up into the brain, the emotional brain is going to try and run it back compared to all of our previous memories and say, do we have information on this? Do we know if it's safe or not? Can we compare it to something else? And if you're seeing yourself in a new physique that you have never been in before, if you're seeing progress, your nervous system doesn't know that those changes are positive. It thinks, this is not something that we feel safe in, and I want to go back to the thing that I know I feel comfortable in. So what do I need to do to undo that progress? I need to self-sabotage my progress. So I'm going to maybe skip a couple training sessions. Maybe I'm not honoring my nutrition. Maybe I'm not binging, but I'm going to have something that's going to cause inflammation in my body, or I'm not going to honor the macros or the nutrition that my coach has set out for me. You're not honoring your process because your subconscious nervous system wants to bring you back to where you were because it knows it's safe and it knows it's comfortable. So we need to teach our nervous system as we're going through these positive changes that these positive changes are safe. But in order to do that, we need to spend time with our nervous system, feeling the sensations in our body, teaching ourselves that this is safe, because anything new is scary and unsafe until your body learns otherwise through experience. So I hope that was really beneficial. I do a lot of the neuropsychology education with the clients that I work with one-on-one, and then we focus on habits for the week. And for some of my women, that is setting a timer for 3 minutes and just doing that deep breathing, or journaling in the morning, or meditating, or going for a morning walk. There are so many different things that you can add to your personal system, but the only way for you to figure out, how am I going to teach my nervous system it's safe so I don't end up self-sabotaging, so I don't end up binging, the only way for you to figure it out is to start trying stuff and be consistent with the trying. If you have 3 really good days and then you have 1 off day, don't say fuck it, get back on track. That is what this lifestyle is about, is hitting reset and being consistent, not being perfect. And I think that gives us a really good transition into the second part of this video. How do you stay motivated day in and day out? If you find someone who has an honest answer to this question, let me know, because I would love to have an answer to that. I am not motivated day in and day out. It comes down to the systems and the routine and the habits and the discipline that you practice the majority of your time, not every single day. Momentum works in 2 different ways. It can roll you forward, and the more positive things that you are doing, the easier it is to keep those things going. But when you have that backwards momentum, it's really easy to pull you back too. So shifting that backwards momentum forward again is one of the hardest things, but you have the discipline to do that. This is where I love working with a coach and having that external accountability on top of your own goals, because you know you have someone to reach out to. You have someone that's checking in with you weekly saying, hey, are you doing the things that you said that you were going to do because you want to do them? Coaches are only there to help you get to where you want to be. It's not my goal. It's your goal that you set for yourself. And I'm just reminding you on those days where your brain is playing tricks on you, being like, do you really want this? Or do you want comfort? Do you want that safety? Do you want to stay the way that we have always been? And your mind is going to play tricks on you with that. 2 days last week, I didn't want to get out of bed. I hit snooze on my alarm. I canceled it. I laid in bed for an extra 2 hours and it threw off my entire day's routine. Form of self-sabotage? Yes. Motivation was not there. But it is about being able to pick yourself back up and continue to be disciplined and recognize, I know that doing these actions that I don't necessarily feel like doing right now is going to make me feel better later today. It's going to make me feel better tomorrow. It's going to make me feel better next week. And I deserve that for me. Goals don't have to be specific dates. They can be, I have this vision of the woman I want to become. And each day I'm working a little bit, daily deposits to get closer to who I want to be for me. Not for the people around you. They will benefit because when you are working on yourself, you're able to show up as the best version of yourself for everyone else that needs you, but it's to benefit you for every single day of your life. The only person that you are spending 24/7 with is yourself. And there's so much potential inside of you. And when you recognize that is your why, I'm doing this for me because I deserve it. That is one of the best things that doesn't keep you motivated, but keeps you going each day. Mood follows action. So if you're putting the actions in every single day, you might have days where you're motivated. There's maybe I would say 2 to 3 days a month where I wake up and let's do the damn things. I'm excited. But outside of that, it's pretty much just this is who I am. Working out is part of who I am. Tracking my nutrition is part of who I am. Going outside and going for walks every single day is part of who I am. And when I miss that a couple of days, or sometimes it's been a week, I can sense that I'm losing that part of myself. And that's the best part of me. That is my time to help regulate my nervous system, to prevent self-sabotage, to keep that forward momentum going. Another really important aspect when it comes to motivation is just enjoying the process. If you have to wake up and do something you don't like doing, you're not going to do it consistently. You're not going to feel the desire to want to. So make sure that you're starting to shift your mindset into acknowledging the things that you like and seeing it as a challenge, but a good challenge. Exercise is something that you can learn to love. You might not love it at the beginning, but being able to go into the gym and be let's see how strong I am. Let's see what I am capable of today. Let's see if I can beat my time on the Stairmaster to improve my performance. So start to seek challenges within your day-to-day life and lean into those and celebrate the progress of your performance. It's not just how you look. It's not what the number on the scale says. It's not what size your clothes are. It's, am I showing up for myself? Am I doing the thing? Am I making progress? Is my performance getting better? And if you are able to focus on that, you're going to be able to enjoy way more of your days. Not all of them. There are going to be really fucking hard days, but you'll be able to enjoy it way more. The final thing I'm going to leave you guys with is have a strong why. On the days that you are not motivated to do the work, which are going to be more than the days that you are motivated, think about why you are doing this. If you have watched some of my previous videos when I talked about me deciding not to do Worlds, I didn't have a strong why for that. I didn't have the why am I stepping on stage for me. I was doing it for other people. I was doing it because there was fear of letting others down. And because my why was not strong for that, it was a mental fight. I was not enjoying the process. I was not motivated, and I was turning to self-sabotage, and I was turning to binging. So that kind of ties it all in. Figure out what your why is and try not to make it external validation from other people. You are doing this for yourself. You have one body for the rest of your life. Your relationship with yourself is going to determine where your life is going to take you. So I know that was a ramble. I hope you guys are able to take some value away from it. If you have any follow-up questions or things you want me to talk about in future videos, send me a message. My DMs and messages are always open as well if you want to talk about it privately. And now your girl has got to head to the airport because we are traveling to another province for the weekend. Travel video on that coming at you next week.